brought in a world-class centre-back in Benjamin Pavard, who's taken our squad to the next level and helped us in the fight for Champions League football. And after knocking Arsenal out of the Carabao Cup, we play our biggest game of the season against Manchester City in the final to try and secure silverware for the first time in 15 years. But as ever, if you are enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. And as ever, we are starting off with your comments. You should start Basuma because in real life, Basuma started at all of the games. Now, to be fair, Basuma did feature heavily for me at the very start of this career mode, and he did make it into my starting 11. As you can see by the fact that he's got 13 Premier League appearances and 17 appearances overall, but the biggest problem is that he's only been able to get a 6.11 rating in the Premier League, and he's not really hit the heights that I would have expected of him. And that is why I turn to this man, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who to his credit has been a driving force at the heart of my centre midfield. And with him also having a far higher rating than Basuma as well, it's kind of a no-brainer that he should start ahead of him. However, the biggest problem this season is that we just do not have European football, and it's kind of worked against some of my more fringe players in the squad. However, with us hunting down the likes of United, Liverpool, Arsenal and West Ham for those final European spots, I'm hoping that won't be a problem this time next season. Now, I know this seems a bit crazy, but since we already have the 20-year-old Udogie, maybe we could train Ayala to be a left winger, as we need a replacement for Heung-min Son, and Ayala could turn out to be a very pacey and tricky winger. Now, as you can see, Ayala is currently out on loan at Leeds, and bearing in mind he's already gone up by 3 points to 67, clearly that is doing wonders for his development. However, with the likes of Sergio Reguilon out on loan at Manchester United, and Ryan Sessegnon not really fulfilling the potential that perhaps he once had, I kind of saw Ayala as the long-term competition for this man Destiny Udogie. Having said that, with Udogie now only being 21 years of age, and with him being at a far higher rating than Ayala, it probably is likely that he will be our left-back for the foreseeable future. However, the fact that Heung-min Son, whilst he is our captain, is getting to an age where we might want to look to phase him out, it's actually a really good shout that we might well want to look for a potential long-term replacement for him. And whilst Ayala could well have the potential to do that, and he's shown he does have the versatility being able to play both at left and right back, when I've hovered over Destiny Udogie, I've suddenly realised that not only can he play at left back, he can also play further up the pitch at left midfield, and during his time at Udinese, he was playing as an attacking wing back as well. And looking through his stats, he does actually have all of the qualities to pose a potential problem in more advanced attacking areas. So perhaps it might be Destiny Udogie after all, who could well be the long-term replacement for Heung-min Son. So let me know down in the comments below what you think I should do with this young man. Should I keep him as our left back, or should I potentially look to retrain him in a more advanced position? And finally, hey Adrian, watching from South Africa, could you please maybe just sell Vlahovic because he's not making a great impact at Spurs because the system is different from what he played at Juventus? Yeah, I mean, I've been on and on all series about what I'm going to do with Dusan Vlahovic. He just isn't quite hitting the heights that I would have expected, and after 15 Premier League games and only 3 goals to his name, plus with me having to completely switch up my entire formation just to try and get the best out of him, added to the fact that we've got a young and up-and-coming Aleo Veliz who seems to be making quite the impact on loan at Aston Villa this season, I may have to consider cutting my losses with Vlahovic come the end of the season. Once again, let me know down in the comments below, should I keep him for one more year? Or should I look to cash in and get Vlahovic out of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club? However, having managed to knock 3 past Leicester City in the 3rd round of the FA Cup, we have been drawn away from home against Coventry in the next round in what really should be a fairly routine game. And after making quite a few changes to my usual starting 11, we did just about manage to get the job done, courtesy of a late goal from Kulusevski and a second from the man in question, Dusan Vlahovic. And with us managing to equal that 2-1 win, this time against Brentford back in the Premier League, we then follow that up with a 3-0 battering away from home against Everton, before finishing up a wonderful run of results with another 2-0 win, this time at home to Brighton. And with that incredible run lifting us up to 2nd place in the Premier League, above the likes of West Ham, Liverpool and Arsenal, who have now dropped to 7th place. We are just 1 game away from that mammoth Carabao Cup final against Manchester City. Before we do that though, I think it's important that we get a warm-up game in front of our fans, and that means hosting Wolves in the Premier League as we look to capitalise on our fantastic form. And with Richarlison keeping Vlahovic out of the starting 11, he will be hoping that he can add to his goal-scoring tally today. Well, it's been a pretty quiet opening 15-20 minutes so far at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but Wolves have it in a very dangerous position here. They've got a free kick that it looks like they're going to try and float over. Instead, they go for goal and they get it all wrong. Son into Højbjerg. Neither team really able to craft any decent opportunities together so far, and that is why it's remained 0-0 in the opening 30 minutes. But we've got an opportunity with Heung-min Son on the head, Can't get there. Masimovic for Wolves. Out to Hwang on the left-hand side. Benjamin Pavard, the newcomer, with a thumping challenge to get the ball clear. Kulusevski darting around the Wolves midfield. Finds Bentancur. He's going to try and play it into the feet of Maddison, who tries to play it into Son. Has Son managed to stay on side? No, he hasn't. Pedro Porro into Højbjerg. Maddison, who's dropped deep yet again. Bentancur to try and bring the ball forward. Finds Heung-min Son. Heung-min Son with the strike. And Heung-min Son finds the back of the net. Well, he wasn't able to stay on side with the first ball through, but he made no mistake with the second. And a game that has been a fairly quiet affair so far has been sparked into life thanks to a thumping strike from Heung-min Son as he gives us a 1-0 lead. Masimovic, nicely challenged from Bentancur. Richarlison with a nice little flick back to Maddison. And I'm waiting for the overlapping run here. Instead, I give it to Bentancur. Somehow managed to wriggle into the box here. He flays it across into Richarlison. It's 2-0 Spurs. And Richarlison proving why I was right to put him back in the starting 11. Well, I said he'd be desperate to add to his goal-scoring tally, and he's done just that. Bentancur managed to wriggle away from 2 Wolves challenges, and Richarlison was on hand inside the 6-yard box to just pass it past the goalkeeper to give us a very comfortable 2-goal cushion here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Masimovic for Wolves into Bellegarde, who's unmarked in the centre of the park here. He's found Masimovic again into Sarabia on the right-hand side, Gonna go past Udogie, continues into the box, into Kunna back to Masimovic, and just like that, Wolves are back in the game. Well, it was a well-worked piece of play from Wolves there, and they just danced their way into my penalty area. And unmarked on the edge of the 6-yard box, a powerful strike past Vicario, and he could do nothing about it. Much to my frustration, it's 2-1. Benjamin Pavard under attack here from the Wolves attackers. He tries to wriggle away from a challenge and he does really, really well. Bentancur now can feed it into Richarlison, and Richarlison skip past the defenders. Richarlison to strike with his right, straight at the goalkeeper, made it easy. Solomon on as a substitute to take the resulting corner, fires it in, it's headed well away by the Wolves defenders. Bentancur will try and win the second ball, he does. It's Brennan Johnson, as I have made a whole host of changes here just before that corner. Solomon to whip it back into the box. Oh, there was no one in there, and that was a great cross in the end. Højbjerg picks it up and gives it away just as easily. Suma on as a substitute, gives it to the other substitute in Vlahovic. Vlahovic is going to feed that across into the path of Udogie, and Udogie has managed to skip away from the challenge of the defender. I was looking for Heung-min Son. It was an awful, awful pass, and that is a massive let-off for Wolves. Højbjerg into Vlahovic, beautifully done. Vlahovic to strike, Vlahovic to score. Well, it looks like this man is up for a fight. He's only just come on as a sub, and he's already made an instant impact. Nice little 1-2 with Højbjerg on the edge of the box, and that is a fine strike to restore our 2-goal cushion. 3-1. Hwang for Wolves, looking to try and get them back into this game, but it's well defended by Basuma. Back to Hwang though. Back into Sarabia, into the box, into Kunna, strikes, well saved by Vicario. We are into stoppage time here, and Wolves have a corner. Surely at this point, any goal is just going to be a consolation, but it clearly means a lot to him because the goalkeeper is up here. It's fired into the edge of the 6-yard box, and it is the newcomer Benjamin Pavard showing that calmness and experience to head the ball clear. Udogie will also boot it clear as the referee blows for full time. A well-deserved victory in the end, with all of my players giving their absolute maximum to secure the 3 points. And it's the perfect tonic we need heading into a big cup final as it finishes at full time. Spurs 3, Wolves 1. And not only was it an important result before a huge cup final against Manchester City, but it also saw the return to scoring for both Richarlison and Dusan Vlahovic. It means that going into our biggest game of the season so far, I have a massive decision to make. Do I stick with the Brazilian number 9 Richarlison, or do I go back to Dusan Vlahovic being my main man up front and give him the chance to try and win silverware for the first time for Spurs in 15 years? And with that man Vlahovic desperately pleading with me to get his opportunity to start the cup final, and with me keen to use the media to rally the troops heading into this mammoth cup final game, and with the fans desperately keen to see whether or not we can exact revenge on the team that beat us in this cup final back in 2021, I have decided to stick with my usual starting 11. Vicario in goal, Pedro Porro at right back, Romero, Pavard and Udogie making up the rest of the defence. Bentancur and Højbjerg start in the centre of the park, with the likes of Kulusevski, Maddison, Heung-min Son playing the support role to the Brazilian Richarlison as he gets the nod to start up front. Will this end up being the correct decision? Well, I guess it's time for Richarlison to give us that very answer. Haaland to Nathan Ake, who's storming down this left-hand side in a very advanced position, and he's managed to cut inside, wiggling away from the challenge of Pedro Porro. Gives it to Jack Grealish, who finds himself slightly deeper, but he has managed to get it into the danger man, Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland skips around Romero, and he forces Vicario into an early save, and Bentancur gets it clear. Højbjerg Into Richarlison, who's dropped deep, and I'm going to try and see if I can feed a ball through to Heung-min Son. It is a wonderful ball through from the Brazilian into Heung-min Son, and Heung-min Son within the first 15 minutes gives us the lead in the Carabao Cup final. Well, oh my word, talk about the correct decision. Richarlison is already repaying that faith. It is a fantastic ball through to Heung-min Son, and the South Korean, our club captain, did the rest. 1-0 Spurs. Richarlison again. We started off this opening 20 minutes here on absolute fire. Into Maddison. Maddison looking around for options. Finds Udogie. Udogie looks out wide to Heung-min Son. He shifts it onto his right. Fires a good ball in. Finds Maddison, who takes it down beautifully. Was blocked off in the end by the City defenders. Nathan Ake. Oh, Højbjerg with a wonderful interception, but City just about managed to keep the ball alive. Nathan Ake down the line into Jack Grealish. End-to-end stuff here in the opening 30 minutes as Romero with a thumping challenge to release Maddison, and he gives the ball away really cheaply. Nathan Ake with the throw for City. Lovely pass into the path of Kovacic into Erling Haaland. And Højbjerg in the end just had to boot that one. Anywhere will do. Kevin De Bruyne with the corner. Looks like City are going to go short with it. They do to Jack Grealish. Oh, well done, Richarlison. He is proving his worth today. Desperate to put in a fantastic performance. Not just going forward, but defensively as well. And he releases Maddison down the right-hand side. And Maddison now doesn't have any options into the box, so takes it on himself and fires it straight at Ederson. Phil Foden for City. Lovely challenge by Benjamin Pavard. That is exactly what we brought him in for. Richarlison tried to find a ball to Heung-min Son. Wasn't good enough. Udogie is caught out, napping there by Kevin De Bruyne. And now Erling Haaland's got the pace to get away from Romero. He's also got the pace to get away from Benjamin Pavard. Oh my word, Vicario's out. He gets it all wrong. And Kevin De Bruyne latches onto the rebound to get City right back in this game on the stroke of half-time. Oh, it's devastating, absolutely devastating. I thought Vicario was going to be there, but he just couldn't get his hand on it. And Kevin De Bruyne, with the experience and the sense to be in the right place at the right time, was just that. Managed to just pass it into an empty net. City back on level terms. That's just Nunes. Into Erling Haaland. Oh, he skipped away from the challenge of Benjamin Pavard so easily. And it's Udogie who's trying to chase him down. And the player switching on this new game is driving me up the wall. Well, I was absolutely smashing L1 to try and get the focus on Udogie, and it just wouldn't go to him. And in the end, it was too easy for Haaland. He just ran through into our penalty box, and City have the lead. Matches Nunes for City. Oh, gives it to Grealish, and now they sense blood here. They sense a defence that are all over the place, but Romero is there with a good challenge. And can we now try and find some spaces to counter-attack on this City team? Kulusevski brings it forward beautifully, but where on earth are the options ahead of him? He looks and he finds Pedro Porro going down the right-hand side. Porro continues, fires it into the box, looking for Heung-min Son at the back post. Headed away well by the City defenders. Phil Foden being hunted down by Bentancur. Bentancur, though, wasn't able to put a challenge in, and Phil Foden has skipped away from him. Continues down the right-hand side. Oh, this is a ding-dong battle down here as Bentancur manages to get the challenge in. Still can't win the ball, though. Kevin De Bruyne bursts into the box. Benjamin Pavard tried to challenge, but it wasn't enough. Vicario was on hand to save. Well, with just 20 minutes left, desperate times call for desperate measures, and I am about to do something drastic. I am switching to 3 at the back. I'm keeping my main 5 in midfield, but Vlahovic will come on up front to partner Richarlison for the first time this season, and what a time for those two players to try and combine and get an equaliser for us. Into Højbjerg. Højbjerg looks for Heung-min Son, doesn't find him. City continue the pressure, desperately searching for a third goal that will put this game to bed. It is Kevin De Bruyne on the right-hand side, fired in. Christian Romero with a wonderful header, but out not very far, but Maddison does manage to win it, and now we have to try and escape with the ball. It's Richarlison here, looking for options. Can I find a ball into Brennan Johnson? It's so poor. Just 5 minutes on the clock here, and City have another corner. Since I've made those substitutions, they just haven't seemed to work, and if either team is going to look to score, it is more than likely going to be Manchester City as Rodri struck. Vicario again saves. Well, we just seem to have lost our heads here, and it's that calmness and composure, that winning mentality that City have. Looks like it's going to see them across the line, but Romero with a brilliant challenge, and he now, our centre-back, is going to try and bring the ball forward. Heung-min Son on the left-hand side. Looks for Romero again up ahead of him. There is no one in the box. Where on earth are my strikers? Romero brings it back into the path of James Maddison. Maddison to Bentancur. Bentancur's going to look to go across to Brennan Johnson. He's taken out. Free kick. And not only is it going to be a free kick, but Calvin Phillips has been sent off. The pressure has got to him, and Manchester City for the last few moments of this game are down to 10 men. And it's going to be James Maddison here to try and take this. I'm 30 metres away from goal, so I don't think I'm going to go for goal. Instead, I'm going to try and play it short into the path of Bentancur. Bentancur has it to strike. He got it all wrong. City get it clear with Rodri, and the referee blows for full time. The City fans celebrate wildly, and I can understand why. City once again have beaten Spurs in a cup final. Vicario and the rest of the players cannot believe it, but again, in the biggest moments is when we have fallen apart. Some might say it's typical Spurs, others might say that we are just in the beginning of our journey to become the best team in world football. But for now, it is Manchester City's time as Kevin De Bruyne will hold and he will lift the Carabao Cup as Manchester City are crowned champions of the Carabao Cup once again. And as frustrating as it is, I do have to face up to the media. And for me, just getting to the final this season in itself was an achievement. It is a narrow defeat and it is hard to take, but it's one I think my boys will learn from, and we will hopefully come back stronger in the future. Well, Vlahovic thinks that he probably could have contributed a little bit more, and to be honest with you, mate, you're probably right, because you did absolutely nothing when you came on the field. And as for Richarlison, well, it was actually a pretty decent first half performance for the Brazilian, but unfortunately, much like the rest of my team, seemed to go quiet in the second half. I think that goal right on the stroke of half-time from Kevin De Bruyne was a real kick in the teeth to most of the players, and for now, we've just got to hope that that doesn't have an adverse effect on our fight for Champions League football. However, with our hopes of silverware in one cup competition dashed, our chances of cup glory are still well and truly alive in the FA Cup. And as we head to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we have been drawn in a mouth-watering clash against our arch London rivals, West Ham, in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Some tired legs after that Carabao Cup final has meant some changes to my starting 11. Vicario, of course, keeps his place, but Emerson Royal, Tapsoba, Mickey van der Ven and Udogie start in defence. Bentancur is partnered by Bissouma, with the likes of Brennan Johnson, Brian Hill and Heung-min Son playing just behind Richarlison, who after his performance in the first half against City deserves a start today. It'll be West Ham though who will have the first corner of the game inside the opening 5 minutes. Jared Bowen throws a lovely ball in, and it's a good head, well saved by Vicario. Udogie with a short free kick finds Bissouma. Basuma's going to try and go out wide to the right-hand side to Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson just looking for the right moment to fire a ball in. Looks for the head of Heung-min Son. Doesn't find it, but Heung-min Son manages to keep hold of the ball. Wriggling around here, trying to get away from the press of the West Ham players. He strikes! Oh my word! It is absolutely stunning! Heung-min Son with arguably our goal of the season so far. And what a time and what an opposition to score it against. No surprise to see him celebrate so wildly. A fabulous goal to give us a 1-0 lead. Into Brennan Johnson. We've got our tails up here having taken an early lead. And it's Richarlison who keeps hold of the ball. Trying to feed in Brennan Johnson, but it's Brian Hill who manages to get hold of it. He switches it onto his left and looks to do the same that Heung-min Son did. And he does just that. Well, what on earth is in the water here today at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? But it has been 2 back-to-back stunning strikes that has given us a 2-goal cushion. Well, Brian Hill was not meant to be the recipient of that pass, but he made it his own, and it's a stunning strike. The keeper probably could have done better. Well, he certainly could have done better, but I don't care. Neither does he. It's 2-0. Heung-min Son into Udogie, who's overlapped him. Back into Bentancur, who gets challenged well by Jared Bowen. And West Ham now can try and hit us on the counter-attack. Ben Rama looking to be challenged here by Tapsoba, who's done a good job of holding him up. Bissouma does well, even better to intercept. And now we can counter-attack on West Ham with the pace of Brennan Johnson down the right-hand side. He's being chased down by the centre-back. And now can he try and play a ball into the path of Richarlison? He does. Richarlison takes it on his left. And Richarlison gives us a 3-0 lead. Well, what is going on with West Ham? Richarlison does the dance. He feels like he is back on form. But what on earth is going on with this West Ham defence? They are just pulled from pillar to post. And Richarlison smashes it past the goalkeeper to make it 3-0 Tottenham Hotspur. Brian Hill out to Emerson Royal on the right-hand side. We are sensing blood here and looking to finally put this game to bed. Brian Hill into the box. Good defending. Heung-min Son to take the resulting corner. Fires it in, looking for the head of Brennan Johnson. Well headed away by the West Ham defence. Looks like it's going to be Emerson Royal who's going to get onto the loose ball. Heung-min Son to fire it back in. It's a great cross. It's an even better header. It's off the post. And it rebounds back into the West Ham net. Well, Richarlison looks like the man to be claiming it. But again, questions have to be asked of this West Ham defence. Heung-min Son with a wonderful ball in. And a fabulous header from Richarlison. And it was just a complete mix-up between the centre-back and the goalkeeper. Smashed it against his own goalkeeper's arm. And it went into the back of the net. It's 4-0. Bueno for West Ham. They've got to try and play better in this second half than they did in the first. A calamity is Udogie. Oh my word, he's almost taken out by the ball there as Heung-min Son brings it up into the path of Bryan Hill. He skips away from the challenge. Going to try and play a ball over to Emerson Royal on the right-hand side. And he's unopposed and seemingly unaware from the West Ham defenders. He fires the ball in looking for the Heung-min Son at the back post. Doesn't manage to reach him. Into Bentancur. We are looking to make this an absolute rout as Basuma skips away from two challenges. Hits it with his left. Well blocked. Manor Solomon. Into Sessegnon. The two substitutes combining as Sessegnon does a really nice job of skipping away from two challenges. Into Manor Solomon. Into Bryan Hill. Bryan Hill almost into the back of the net, but decided to balloon his chance over the bar instead. West Ham to try and break now on the counter-attack. Souček is high. Finds Jared Bowen, and he's got our defence in all sorts of trouble here. Jared Bowen drives into the penalty area, fires it across Vicario, gets it all wrong, and from one poor goalkeeping from one end to even worse goalkeeping down our end. Well, it seemed like such an easy cross to handle. All he needed to do was just grasp it with two hands, and he got it all wrong. A complete calamity. West Ham get a goal, but surely right now it's just a consolation. Ryan Sessegnon. Into Vlahovic. Vlahovic turns. Vlahovic is desperate to get on the score sheet here, but instead lays it off to Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson finds the run of Emerson Royal, fires it across the box. Good defending from West Ham. But fortunately enough for West Ham, that did end up being the very last attack of the game. A game that saw that man chip in with one goal and a fantastic performance. And one that sees the Tottenham Hotspur faithful leave the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium delighted. It's Spurs 4, West Ham 1. And hopefully with Richarlison bagging the winner against West Ham, that will hopefully do his confidence a world of good. For me though, perhaps there needs to be a slight worry with the performances of this man, Vicario. Now a lot of you in the comments were suggesting that I look to try and bring in a replacement for the Italian, providing me with a lot of different options to choose from. However, I was absolutely adamant that I did not want to do that, as this is his first season in English football and he is 83 rated plus only 27 years of age. However, there has been a numerous number of absolute calamities from the Italian this season that is starting to make me question whether or not he is our long-term number one. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think I should do with this man? Should I keep him as our number one next season, or should I look to bring in a better goalkeeper? Back to the football though, and with us thumping West Ham 4-1 in the 5th round of the FA Cup, we've received another fairly favourable draw, this time away from home against Luton Town. And as you can see from all the other teams in the competitions, aside from Manchester City, we have to be considered as one of the favourites. But with them absolutely running away with it in the Premier League, not just getting to the final, but potentially beating them in the final, is going to be a massive task. But having had to watch them lift the Carabao Cup in front of our very own eyes, it is one that both I and my players will be absolutely desperate to achieve. Two more games in the Premier League, starting off with a 2-2 draw at home to Crystal Palace and a 1-0 away loss to Aston Villa, have however put a real halt on our progress in the Premier League, with us now slipping down to 5th place, which means that this quarter-final tie against Luton becomes even more important. Before we get to that though, we've got some interesting news that might well send shockwaves through the rest of the squad, as Dusan Vlahovic with his agent in tow have come knocking on my door. And it's all because the young man is starting to get frustrated with a lack of game time. He claims that he was brought in to be a crucial player and that I've lied to him about his position in the squad, and that if things don't improve, he may well look for pastures new at the end of the season. And so as you can see, that's kind of left me in a bit of a tricky spot. So again, I ask you the question, with just 5 goals in 18 Premier League appearances and just 7 goals in 24 appearances in all competitions, what do I do with this man Vlahovic? Do I adhere to his demands and put him straight back in the starting 11? Or do I cut my losses, get rid of the man, and perhaps look to replace him with some more young and upcoming talent next season? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. But now though, it's time to get back to one last game of football, and you guessed it, we are heading back to the FA Cup for what is going to be a must-win and much-expected win away from home against Luton Town. And to keep squad morale up, I've had to continue to try and rotate my squad with the likes of Pedro Porro, Romero, Van de Ven and Udogie starting in defence. Basuma partners Højbjerg in the centre of midfield, with the likes of Brennan Johnson, Maddison and Manor Solomon playing behind Dusan Vlahovic up front. Udogie into Manor Solomon. Solomon twisting, turning, looking to find an angle and finds Yves Basuma. Nice ball into Maddison. Maddison into Vlahovic, who takes it really nicely. He's got the bit between his teeth, drives into the box. Oh my word, what a way to show the Tottenham faithful that you deserve to be here and be the number one striker this season. Well, it was just a fabulous touch and turn and drive into the penalty area, and with his left foot, he gave the keeper absolutely no chance. A brilliant way to open the scoring here today. 1-0 Spurs. Finds Maddison. Maddison in a nice little pocket of space with a wonderful outside of the boot pass. Oh, that's even better pass into Udogie. Back into Vlahovic. Back into the back of the net for 2-0. Well, my word, this is a man on a mission today against Luton Town, and he is keen to put the doubters to rest. Beautiful build-up play, wonderful pass, sent the defender flying, and when Udogie fed it into Vlahovic, he made no mistake. A wonderfully applied finish gave the keeper absolutely no chance. It curled away from him. It's 2-0 Spurs. After Solomon on the left-hand side, he's got Udogie moving up ahead of him, really nicely done, and Udogie just drives past two Luton Town defenders into the box. My word, this is a brilliant run into Maddison. Lovely save by Tim Krul. Vlahovic picks up on the loose ball, gives it to Brennan Johnson. He feeds in Højbjerg, who strikes, well defended, into Manor Solomon. Manor Solomon's going to try and feed in Vlahovic. He senses he can get his hat-trick here, but tried to lay it off instead to Pedro Porro, who's going to feed it back across, looking for the head of Maddison. It's headed down and away by the Luton defenders. Ross Barkley for Luton. They seem to have got their tails up now, and they sense they can try and get a goal here. They drive into the box with Kabore. It's Vicario, though, with his first save of the game. Manor Solomon, nice little drive into the centre of the park and finds Pedro Porro unmarked. Lovely ball down the right-hand side into Brennan Johnson. He's going to try and look to find Vlahovic. It's a poor ball. Nakambia, nice pass into Ross Barkley. Finds Doty on the left-hand side, unmarked. Tries to go past Pedro Porro. He's got the pace to keep up with him, though, but it's a nice ball back into the path of Barkley. Adebayo, well challenged by Højbjerg. Brennan Johnson heads down into the path of Højbjerg. Pedro Porro goes in field. Going to look to pass it back to Brennan Johnson. Really nicely done. Can Brennan Johnson find a better ball into the box this time? Fires it across. It was a strong ball, but Vlahovic was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Højbjerg wins that into Vlahovic, who's come deep. Nice pass into Basuma, who finds himself in an advanced position. Lovely pass into Maddison. Maddison across. Vlahovic. Oh my word. How on earth has Vlahovic missed? Well, we've got to take a look at the replay here. He was open. The ball from Maddison, and Vlahovic had an empty net to pass it into. Oh, he got it all wrong. He hit it with his left foot. And look at that, inches away from his hat-trick. He cannot believe it. Look at him. Addison into Solomon. We go again to try and get the third goal to put this game to bed. It's Højbjerg into Vlahovic, who will be desperate to make amends. And he drives past the Luton players into the box. Smashes it home to definitely this time get his hat-trick. Well, it was a beautiful ball, but the work was all Dusan Vlahovic. The pace, the power to drive away from the Luton defenders, and the coolness and composure at the end to just smash it into the top left-hand corner. He made amends for that woeful finish earlier. He gets his hat-trick, and he will be leaving Luton Town a very happy man. Pedro Porro down to Brennan Johnson. That pass has been on all day so far, and Vlahovic does really well there to feed it back to Brennan Johnson. He's got an option at the back post in Solomon. Oh, that was a brilliant strike and an even better save from the goalkeeper. But it will be that man, Dusan Vlahovic, who will take home the match ball after a fabulous performance in front of the Luton Town fans. It's a much-needed confidence boost for the young man, and hopefully that will stand him in good stead for the remaining part of the season. As at full time here, it finishes Luton 0, Spurs 3. It's brilliant news for Vlahovic, and it's exciting news for Tottenham Hotspur, as having beaten Bournemouth 3-2 in the quarter-finals, we have been drawn against Manchester City in the semi-finals for the first opportunity to exact revenge on the team that beat us to the Carabao Cup. For now, though, with Vlahovic giving us plenty to ponder heading into the season finale, with his hat-trick against Luton showing that he does still have quality that he can offer us, and with it looking likely that the fight for the Champions League places are going to go down to the wire, we are going to need all of the quality we can get. That is it for today's episode, though. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you again next time.